is EOCO also looking into possibly that these persons were trafficked to do?
There's a mention of prostitution, but that's not been properly defined because there were quite a number of females who were part of it, and so for now, what we understand is that the screening, which is a major part to allow for a determination of really what's happening with these individuals, is ongoing, and so that's what we know. But majorly, they were being used for cybercrime related activities, internet fraud, amongst many other things. In fact, I engaged one of the victims who says that was being used for internet fraud and wasn't getting food, was being fed once a day. After eating once a day, for 1 year, he saw seen sunlight, and he had to always be indoors once a day, amongst many other things. In fact, when you get close to them from afar, you could tell that these were individuals who were not getting access to baths to even start off with, amongst many other things. And so the crime majorly cyber related, but there's a fear that prostitution is involved with the 7 or so women who were part of the gang who were brought in this morning from Oyarifa, Alfred.
I see. How long have they been in Ghana? Any indication of that answer being provided?
Different durations for the specific set of individuals. This one individual I spoke to, 1 year. There were minors as well, and so it cuts across different times how long they've been here. But the most I got the sense of was a year ago from the one individual I engaged, and the additional detail is that they are aware of such scams being run. In fact, the Director General in charge of CID, she, off the cuff, in an interaction with me, mentioned that even this morning, police officials had stopped a similar movement of Nigerians who were headed into the country, and they've arrested the said culprits. They are bringing the other related individuals or the victims to immigration tomorrow for screening and then onward processing and a return to Nigeria, amongst many other things. We understand as well that the Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana has made his way to EOCO's premises as well to ascertain for himself really what was happening, and urging the young people not to be dissuaded with the promise of jobs in Ghana, only to end up being in such inhumane conditions, amongst many other things. And so it looks like the operation is ongoing from far and wide. Different interagency operations currently happening. They are seeking to strengthen that a lot more. Alfred, on social media as well, there's been this conversation surrounding QNet, where we've seen quite a number of these big social media accounts alleging Ghanaians who've been moved from West Africa, from here in Ghana to Ivory Coast with the promise of jobs in Spain, amongst many other things. EOCO says they've got wind of that, some of whom they got details of back into Ghana from Ivory Coast, and they are following up on any of such leads subsequently as well to end the trafficking of West African nationals here into Ghana to engage in cyber-related activities.
I see. Now, but how about the nationals of these trafficked persons, 219 of them? Are they mainly Nigerians, or EOCO did identify other West African nationals apart from Nigerians?
They identified other nationals. The difficulty thus far, based on what we've been told, is that even when they suspect they've identified a different national, the language barrier has proven quite difficult, because it appears these individuals are not quite educated, a number of them from these other places. For the Nigerians, the use of English as a broken English makes it quite easy to be able to identify and speak to them. And so they've been able to identify a number of them. A chunk of them actually are Nigerians, but they have the suspicion based on ongoing screening as well that these are nationals from elsewhere as well, Alfred.
I see. And any indication of when exactly they got wind of this particular operation or of this syndicate or this ring of human traffickers?
Well, I asked that question as to whether or not this was a lead that was followed up from social media and the recent conversations. What we were told was that this has been an interagency collaboration which has been ongoing for quite a while. As to the specific duration, we were not given those details because they say they are pursuing other leads as well. But what we understand is that these investigations have started or may have started within the last 4 months since this acting director general and then the new CID boss as well began operating together, and within the short space of time they've been able to track this first ring. They say they've rescued some others from elsewhere, like we mentioned, in Cape Coast, where they are bringing them to Ghana, to Accra tomorrow for screening as well. And so it looks like there's the identification of what's happening, but as to how long, we can only estimate within the last 4 months, Alfred.
Great detail there, man. I appreciate you for this. And Eric Mawenagbata is my colleague, sat through the EOCO press conference, which ended just a few minutes ago. Dr. Victor Doke is a security analyst and a lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He has written quite extensively about this human trafficking syndicates and also the operations in the sub-region. Is joining us right now. Dr. Doke, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
I mean, this appears to be a major breakthrough, is it not, in tracking down human trafficking in this country. 219 individuals, victims, and according to Mauna, some of them are minors as well, under the age of 12, all in there as well, brought in specifically to carry out cybercrime activities, and EOCO suspects prostitution as well. How does all of this get to you?
Well, yeah, it's worrying, first of all. Now, it's been noted that countries in West Africa have most victims being trafficked than other states in the sub-region. So, out of 4,799 victims in all of trafficked persons in 26 African states, a total of about 3,336 have been found to be in West Africa. And this figure includes 2,553 being children alone. So the issue is very worrying. Now, for various reasons, they are being trafficked, i.e., as you mentioned, cybercrime activities, prostitution, and whatnot. So it begs to ask the question, what our border management, border control system is doing, and especially when you look at the broader picture of how we are supposed to the ECOWAS region is supposed to ensure free transportation and movement of people, then these children find their way somehow in jurisdictions they are not supposed to be in for illegal activities such as these. Then we need to get back to, those protocols, the ECOWAS plan of action to combat trafficking of persons. We need to relook at all these protocols and then restructure to ensure that these minors do not find their ways into other countries for illegal activities.
I see, but you hear EOCO, they talk about a collaborative effort that now, you hear the executive director say we're going to be seeing a lot more of the collaboration between EOCO, CID, and the military in clamping down these human or child trafficking rings operating in this country, to the extent that they have been trafficking these children and teenagers, we understand, at the least over the last 1 year. Some of them have been here more than a year. Where should the investigation be looking at, especially because of the time frame and how long these persons have been here, as we're learning now?
It will be very difficult. Now, one of the ways we can channel the investigations is to get the main ringleaders. Now, these minors will likely give information, but you may have a challenge with regards to the right information that will be given, first of all, because now you need to even process they themselves as individuals, first of all, before even getting to know who the ringleaders are. For collaboration, yes, we need it at this critical moment with regards to the security agencies coming together. Now, these are just peripherals, that I put it that way, because these people are only doing the bidding of others who are camping somewhere. The location might be difficult at this point. But if the security agencies are very, very proactive enough to get information, then they will act on it. But by and large, they will have some challenges regards to even information coming up, because then these minors, these people have sworn some of sort of allegiance not to vouch information, that would even help them in the long run. But I think then the security agencies must push harder to get information to arrest, the ringleaders and the cartel behind this, illegal activity.
Now, there's also that bit, as we're saying now, of the kind of crimes that they are brought in to do. That's specifically, according to EOCO, cyber crime, and they are camped in an estate. On Oyarifa, we're learning now, and the number of them say they haven't even seen daylight for almost a year. Knowing how these human trafficking or child trafficking syndicates operate, does this give you any indication of how the security agencies should clamp down on the modus operandi?
Yes, because then now you would have this very, very common, because I've even come face to face with young guys, in a building, and you wonder what they are actually doing, because the kind of activities in there and the way they were, behaving and all that, it just, brought my mind to suspicion. But then, if we are looking at this holistically, then it means that, one, we need to look at our border system. Information about these individuals that come in, do they have the legal documents to even stay in the country for a period of time? It means that we need to look at all those things. Now, how can we get information as to activities such as this? Sensitization, education of the people, we ourselves, so that if a landlord gives us his room or a house for rent, then he gets the requisite information about who is coming in to live there. So if you have, a group of young guys in there with suspicious activities, you have gathered some evidence that they are into illegality, then you can inform the authorities, and then they can pick them up. But this is what we have been seeing for some time now, and it's become like part and parcel of our lives, because we see something, we don't really pay attention to it, and then try to inform the authorities for them to act on it. But I think going forward, I think we need a sense of urgency with regards to what actually we term as illegalities, and then draw in the people. We need the involvement of the people themselves in, so that they can monitor by and large. Because then if you are drawing the people in, trust me, you have everything going on in the community that would willingly offer information for you to act on and arrest.
And it's a very important point to make about the role of the landlords or the owners of houses who rent to these people. Because if you have this number of persons, and this is in a gated community, because it's an estate where there's over 219, we understand 219 individuals were kept. What is the responsibility in this instance, not just of the owner, but also some of these gated community owners, estate developers, in collaborating in the fight against this human trafficking?
The issue is that some only look at the benefits, the monetary aspects that comes with, having your property rented out. But then they don't look at the long-term effects such as this. Now, if we have situations like that, it means we have to look at regulations, the laws, or how you give out, houses or rooms to people. And trust me, now, wherever these young men were picked up from, when you extensively interrogate those who are living in the vicinity, they will tell you that they suspected and knew. But how and why didn't they come out with information is another issue. For the landlords, it's just individuals. Now you can pick them up and then interrogate them also, because then they are aiding and abetting. Because if your property is being used for illegal activities, you are also party to that crime. So I think with regards to this, we have to invite the landlords, wherever they are, for them to answer questions. And then going forward, that's what I said, we need to carry the people along, sensitize them that this is a crime, giving out your property to a group of people for what? Illegal activities and illegal, trades. I think this is just the way forward for us now.
In this case, so ignorance of the activities of whoever is renting your house is not an excuse, because some of them will come in as individuals. I mean, if the landlords put up this argument, would they be shielded by the law that these persons came in as individuals and they didn't really follow up to know, for instance, what's happening in their facilities? If they've rented it for 2 years, well, that's it. What's the burden of the landlord?
There's a lot of burden on the landlord, because then you as a citizen, you are hosting, even a national who can be engaged in this illegality, let alone a foreigner. Okay? Now, you're talking about foreigners who have been trafficked from other jurisdictions into the country and then in your house. So how do you expect the law enforcers to identify or to ascertain that you were not party to it? You just have to provide evidence in this case. And the evidence will show whether if you knew or did not know, because then you have people also coming in individually saying they want the property and then end up bringing these young guys. Those are the middlemen, the kingpins. Okay? So every property owner should now be very much aware and proactive in taking more information and details about whoever even wants to come to live in your property. So if you would know that in certain areas now, landlords have just taken it upon themselves that if you are an ECOWAS national from other jurisdictions, they do not rent their properties to you. I don't want to mention names, but I have to be careful. When you are from other regions, other ECOWAS states, West African countries, they hardly rent their properties to you because of the perception they have that you may likely not take care of the property or use it for illegal activities.
Hold on a bit for me, Dr. Doke, because we've also just gotten some news from this time around from the Central Region. It's information just coming through right now, and it's also in this same tangent that we're talking about. If you're just joining us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, have just addressed the press, giving details of some 219 individuals, mostly Nigerians, who have been trafficked into Ghana, promised lucrative jobs, but ended up being used for all forms of criminal activity, specifically cybercrime. Now, this follows the intelligence-led operation between EOCO and the CID of the Ghana Police Service. The military as well complemented the efforts. Currently, we understand investigations are ongoing into the team behind the trafficking, while screening is ongoing. The news that's coming through from the Central Region is that 42 suspects have been arrested in connection with drug peddling and prostitution at Ayamfuri in the Upper Daintra West District of the Central Region as part of special operations to clamp down on criminal activity by the Central North Regional Police Command. And this is what we got from there. This is the DCOP Abraham Akwe speaking to the media.
Between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., we conducted an intelligence-led swoop to some of the criminogenic areas in our area of responsibility, specifically at Ayamfuri. We went to 2 different ghettos and protests where these arrested suspects were found in various acts, including what I've said, the prostitution and then drug peddling. Our community members have been complaining bitterly about some of the activities of these people. So we as a command decided to wage war against such criminal acts. And you also recall that the task force has been established to fight organized crime, including illegal mining and such acts, as you have already seen. So basically, it was an intelligence-led swoop that led to the arrest of these 42 suspects. 10 of them are Ghanaians, the males are Ghanaians, and then the 32 are foreign nationals. Yes, I don't want to name the country, but they are not Ghanaians. They are from other country indulging in this illegal activity in our area of responsibility. Yes, it is presumed that they are involved in drug and human trafficking. You want to believe that they were trafficked into the country by their agents. Yes, but some of them are a bit tight-lipped on the activities of their agents, but a few of them admitted that they were brought in by their principals or agents who use them for such activities.
So that's DCOP Abraham Akwe, who heads the Northern Central Regional Police Command. Akwasi Ado was with the team every step of the way and sat through this press briefing by the Central Northern Regional Police Command in the Central Region. Is joining us, our Central Regional Correspondent, Akwasi. Now, the DCOP declined or did not give details of the nationals involved, at least, but he says there are 10 Ghanaian male involved in the 44 that they have arrested, 42 they have arrested today. Now, tell us, when you got in there and the intelligence that you got, how many of these 42 are female?
32 are female. And even though the Central North Regional Police Commander, DCOP Abraham Akwe, decided not to mention the nationality, Alfred, I can confidently mention that most of these arrested persons, the females, are Nigerians. Because for me personally, I expected this kind of action to be taken because somewhere around last week, I spent about 2 nights in Ayanfure trying to work on illegal mining activities and also its related illicit activities. And I came across some of these persons, and when you interact with them, you speak to them, they confidently tell you that, look, this is where we are coming from. And they would mention to you that someone actually had lured them that there are high incentive jobs here in the country, and so that is what they were bringing them for. But when they arrived, they coerced them into engaging in prostitution. And so we expected this kind of action to be taken by police and law, because this action has already occurred. And so we are expecting that from then on, the Ghana Immigration Service would take over from the police service and then also work to ensure that they are able to deal with some of these things. Because in Ayamfere and places like Dunkaonofe and then so in those enclaves, that is the Upper Dentra, East and West districts, you get to meet this kind of persons. And while the females are mostly engaged in prostitution, the males are engaged in illegal mining, some of them in other criminal activities like robbery and the likes.
See, now you talk about robbery and the others that they are involved in, and which specific area exactly were these persons arrested? So
for this particular exercise, these persons were arrested in Ayamfre. So there are some brothels just at the opposite of the Ayamfre Senior High School, which is located at the outskirts of the Ayamfre Township. So that is where the police conducted the swoop and had these persons arrested. And even though this is a very commendable exercise, but I should say that there are several other brothels that exist in the Ayamfre and then the Diaso Dunkaonofe enclave, which needs the police to move in and then take a similar action there.
Dr. Doke, and this one, I take your final word. And it appears that this is, according to EOCO, they just gave that indication as a nationwide exercise. We just got this information from the Central Region. 42 suspects arrested in connection with drug peddling and prostitution at Ayamfuri, Upper Dentra West District. My colleague there indicates that, yes, a number of the young girls who were part of this, age between 22 and 32, are Nigerians as well. Give us an indication of how all of this is coming together for you, especially with what the EOCO has just put out, these 219 persons, most of them Nigerians, and what's happening in the Central Region as well.
Well, I should say, let me commend the officers and state institutions for, clamping down on illegalities. Now, when we had the commander speaking, he said this was an intelligence-led operation. And this ties to the earlier comment that I made, that one. We need the involvement of the citizens themselves so that they can volunteer information. It's part of intelligence. Now, all this means that as a whole, as a country, how do we ensure that we manage our borders well so that when these young people are coming in, we can raise questions, fundamental questions as to what they are coming to do here. Because most of them come in alone, or even if they come in with their, middlemen or campaigns or whatever, there's some sort of further details we do. But unfortunately, we don't have that time, we don't have that operational capacity to do that. Now, it all ties to the unemployment we're facing, not only in Ghana, but across, the African continent. It's getting worse and worse, okay? And these issues are what is going to be with us if we don't curb it. Now, education is very important for the people, inhabitants. So if we see something, then we have to inform the appropriate agencies to act on it. And, I've already mentioned it, but then it means we need more investment in the area of how we can, control our borders, because as it is now, it means there's inadequate border control, which leads to illegalities like what we are seeing now. We need to enhance our safety, measures, foster, collaboration with our neighboring, countries where mostly these people are coming from, and try to get the authorities there to know what exactly is going on. Because then we can't say we have the protocol of free movement for citizens to come and visit anytime, but then we are not tracking them. How do we ensure we track all these people coming in? Because I'm sure they came through our borders, they have the documents, and then they went through it. You are required to stay in a number of days. Yeah. Either they last or not. How do they, overstay? Some go and come back. If you are not even able to detect that a person is using multiple names, the facial recognition is always something that is constant. How do we ensure that we bring in mechanisms that would detect people who are entering multiple times, and then also track them to know what activities they are engaged in? So it's a tough call, but I think this is the first step. How do we even move from here? Repatriation, and then monitor for these same people not to enter back into the country is another thing.
Indeed. Dr. Victor Doke, appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. He is a senior lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, security analyst as well. Akwasi Ado is our Central Regional Correspondent. He joined us earlier. It's live here on Hot